Welcome to Valley Newsline for the week of May 6th, 2007. Hello, I'm your host, Ron Whitlock. Local election cycle underway in Greater South Texas, whether it's for City Commission, City Council, or in the case of South Padre Island, the Township of South Padre Island, or school boards here in Greater South Texas. Signs up all over the yards, of course, in your neighborhood and mine, or wherever you might particularly transmit here in South Texas. Valley Newsline encourages all of you to engage yourself in the election process, obviously. And for your perusal today, two candidates, both running for the position of Mayor of the City of Harlingen. And we're going to let you stand in for all the other people running for office here in South Texas. You can look at these individuals and see if you think that either if you live in Harlingen, you want to vote for one or the other. But if you don't particularly live in Harlingen and vote in Harlingen, but you are engaged in the election process, you may try to respond and listen to what they say about service to their community, in this case, the City of Harlingen. Now, two candidates we have in the studio, Chris Boswell, who has served on the City Commission in the City of Harlingen for a 8-year period, is that correct? 1999 until 2007?
9 years. 3 terms.
And his challenger, Ken Benton, who is a community economics development consultant here in South Texas. Mr. Boswell is an attorney at law and the city incumbent in one position, running to upgrade from commissioner to the mayor of the city. Now we're going to go with the challenger here today, no particular reason other than the fact that he's the challenger, and we're going to let him say and tell you and I why he thinks he ought to be elected mayor of Harlingen and what is in his thinking as to why he thinks he ought to be mayor. Is he really with the mentality of being a servant, or does he have some other agenda? Mr. Kenneth Benton.
Thank you, Ron. I appreciate the opportunity and the chance for you to
You're welcome.
to address your viewing audience.
You're welcome. We enjoy it.
Thank you. I'm running for Harlingen because people have come to me over the last few years and said, Ken, we need a change, and we need a leader that can help bring about that change. People came to me, Ron, because as I looked around Harlingen and saw the issues that it was facing, I have a talent for writing. So I tend to write my thoughts down and submit lots of letters and opinion pieces to the local newspaper. And people come to me and say, Ken, we saw what you wrote in the newspaper, and we really agree with you. And you hit it right on, Ken. Says, but you need to do more. You need to get involved. You need to do something. And I said, I am doing something. I'm writing letters and opinion pieces in the newspaper.
And that's definitely doing something, isn't it?
I thought so. And they said, no, Ken, you need to run for office. You need to get involved. Quit standing on the sidelines. We like what you say. We like the things you stand for. We know you. Please, Ken, run for office. So
you picked out the biggest job in town, that being mayor rather than city council or something else.
Well, that was first of all, the decision to get in the race. I'm not a politician, and I never considered myself in the public office of any sort.
Right.
But so the first decision was for me to make the decision to run for office. It came hard. It was a hard decision for me to make. But what I thought about was, well, if I run for office, do I want to run for city council, or do I want to run for the mayor? Well, all the city council members have a vote. The mayor does not. But the mayor has one thing that the city council members do not have, which is the bully pulpit. The mayor can articulate a vision for the city of Harlingen. The mayor can go to the citizens of Harlingen and listen to them and be their representative, more so than any other city council person. Because he doesn't have a vote, however, it's up to the mayor to be an effective communicator. I believe that I have the skills as an effective communicator to articulate the visions and ideas and dreams of the people in the community, especially those who've never had a seat at the table, okay? The little people in Harlingen who don't have a voice. And for the first time, I think that they can have a voice through Kenneth Benton, and that's why I'm running for mayor of Harlingen.
Okay, your turn. You're the incumbent in one race, but you decided not to run for re-election on the city commission. You decided to run and fill the shoes of Mayor Rodriguez, and prior to that, Connie De La Garza. Why?
I want to lead the community. I want to express my vision to the community and to build a consensus to move the community forward. Harlingen is a great city. It has all of the ingredients to be the premier community in South Texas. We have the busiest airport, passenger and cargo. We have one of the most sophisticated medical communities and medical centers of any community, including the state-of-the-art a regional academic health center from the University of Texas Health Science Center. We're training medical students. We're turning out doctors right there in Harlingen, Texas.
And because they train there, will stay there after they complete their
absolutely, that's the hope, is to increase in health care, and that is part of the vision that we have for the city of Harlingen, that Harlingen's medical complex can be a cornerstone and a foundation for what we hope to see in the future. You know, San Antonio, just 35 years ago, was a military-industrial town. Now its chief economic engine is its biomedical complex, and it all started with a medical school there in San Antonio, Texas. We can do similar things in South Texas and in particular in Harlingen, but we need to develop a plan. And what I hope to do as the mayor, if elected, is to take some of these plans that have been sitting on a shelf and to bring the public forward in some community forums and some workshops, and ask for some community input and to engage the community into where we need to go. And that's how I see what I can do to lead the community forward, is by building on Harlingen's strengths, but by engaging the community.
Mr. Benton, you're critical of the City of Harlingen for not following the comprehensive plan. What's the basis of your charge?
Well, that's not a charge, Ron. That's a statement of fact. Harlingen has several comprehensive plans that have been developed as far back as 1969. I've got one of those plans here, and I served actually on the committee that developed a comprehensive plan for Harlingen in the mid-90s. My background experience,
any specifics of what they're not doing?
Well, if you let me go into it, I'll give you.
Time is limited.
We have
I've
not
got to try to direct the question.
Ron, the answer is we have not articulated the comprehensive plan to the community, nor have we implemented it by ordinance. Comprehensive plan contains many elements: land use, economic development, water and sewer, transportation planning, et cetera, et cetera. At the end of the day, a comprehensive plan, in order to be effectively implemented, must be implemented through a series of ordinances that are adopted by council. They need to govern, for instance, subdivision decision making. Where does this go and what's the appropriate land use, so that when a developer goes in and says, I want to put in this project here, we can look at our comprehensive plan and say, does this fit with our comprehensive plan? Now, if it does, you permit it and you move it forward. If it doesn't, then you've got two choices. You can turn it down outright, or what I think that are better choices is to work with the developer and find a plan and say, you know what, our land use plan would accommodate your development better here. If you want to put this project here or here or here, the city can facilitate and work with you. Many cities, for instance, the city of Austin, have adopted what they call a preferred growth corridor. Why would you want to adopt a preferred growth corridor? Well, money is limited, resources are limited, and so if you have a demand for water and sewer extensions all over town and you can't meet that demand, then you look at areas of your town, or your community, where you can least most cost effectively extend your water and sewer services, and says, we have raw land in this area, it's easier for us to extend our water and sewer.
Mr. Benton, in our pre-telecast interview, you said that you're critical of the City of Harlingen because it's not following its comprehensive plan. Did you not make that statement?
No, sir, I did not, but that's okay.
You said that Lowe's was placed in an
inappropriate location, right?
Location and so forth.
Right.
Do you want to talk about that, or you seem to ramble in response to my question?
I don't think I was rambling. I was talking about comprehensive planning.
Okay.
You seem not to understand comprehensive planning.
Gotcha. Well, I don't. I'm just a moderator. Mr. Boswell, your response to what your challenger is saying.
Well, we have a planning and zoning commission, and we have a plan, and we have a zoning ordinance, and we have a comprehensive plan, and the planning and zoning commission and the city commission look at each project as they come up to see whether or not they fit in the proper zone. For the most part, they do. What we really need to be talking about in Harlingen is some ways to improve the appearance, particularly in the gateways of the community, along the corridors of the community, and to really spruce things up and make things look like a premier community ought to look like in South Texas. These are things that have been addressed in a tourism plan that was adopted in 2003 and that were brought together with a plan that we just put together in 2006. We need to move forward with implementing those plans that address these issues of appearance. and to continue to do what we have been doing, and that is to follow our zoning ordinances and let the Planning and Zoning Commission do its work.
Mr. Boswell, if you're elected Mayor of City of Harlingen, what will you do to try and improve economic development, which has been an area of debate for over a decade in the City of Harlingen? Billboards up and down the expressway trying to convince not only Harlingen shoppers to shop at home, but everyone else to shop in Harlingen. The City of Harlingen seems to be bypassed with third locations going to Weslaco or Mercedes after the store's already got one in McAllen and Brownsville, bypassing Harlingen, going to another Mid-Valley community. What do you intend to do to try to change that tide?
Well, one of the things that I've already done as a city commissioner was to go to North Texas about 18 months ago and to study tax increment financing districts and to look at what these communities had done with tax increment financing districts. And so when we came back from that trip, we have since then implemented by ordinance 3 tax increment financing districts, which will provide in the way of tax rebate incentives, opportunities for developers to do their projects. We have just completed the first project, or the agreement for the first project that will benefit from a TIF district in a project that will go in west of Valley Vista Mall and will be developed by St. Ives Properties. So that's one of the things that we can proactively do as a community to try to encourage development. But what I want to do and what I hope that we can do as a community is to start talking about the positive things, the things that I already talked about, our airport and our regional academic health center, our race park, our TSTC.
You've already talked about that in the first segment.
Right.
But what about economic development and trying to get these other retailers, these other restaurants to come into your community who have seemed to have bypassed the community? Mr. Benton?
Well, you know, Mr. Boswell takes great credit for things he's not responsible for. But I like to point out the St. Ives development, for instance. They've been on the drawing boards for 10 years, 10 years trying to get approval, 9 of which he sat on the council. Our development process is so—
St. Ives is what, a retail store?
It's a power center development that's coming in just west of the existing retail development there in Harlingen.
Okay.
It will be a great addition to the city, and I'm pleased that it's coming in, and I'm pleased that they were able to get it over the board, and I'm pleased that we passed the tax increment financing. That will help. There are many tools to facilitate economic development that we're not using in Harlingen, but the problem is we've got a process that that drives developers crazy, drives them out of Harlingen, and no one has stepped up to the board and says, city staff, we've got a problem. Developers are complaining about the time it takes. Developers are complaining about the complexity of our ordinances. Developers are complaining about not having a cooperative staff that can answer the questions. And no one has provided the leadership to say, there's got to be a change. City staff, city manager, department heads, what can we do to change this? We can talk about all the good things that Harlingen has forever. Harlingen has had those good things for the last 17 years. The airport, Los Indios Bridge, those things were built almost 20 years ago. We've had those things in place for 2 decades now, yet Harlingen has continued to fall behind the rest of the valley because we have not had the leadership on the city council with the vision, with the understanding of the tools that it takes to change the dynamic so that Harlingen becomes a city that is developer friendly without allowing substandard developments all over the city. Harlingen, every single comprehensive plan and study that we have had in Harlingen begin with the same statement. Harlingen is unattractive, begin with place, beautify and clean up your city.
Economic development in the city of Harlingen. Why has Harlingen been passed by, or maybe it hasn't been passed by? The response to your challenger, Chris Boswell.
Well, I think Harlingen has challenges because it has a population of 67,000 compared to what we have in McAllen and what we have in Brownsville, which is nearly double that. But as I've said, we seem to see some new development coming in with the St. Ives project, with another project east of the mall that we see that's about to come in. But with respect to the developer-friendly nature of the community, I've worked with this on this St. Ives project, and I have heard no criticism from them about any barriers that the city has put up.
Has the city historically been too tough on new businesses, new restaurants located in the community,
there's always,
which causes them to go someplace else?
I don't think so. I think there's always room for improvement, and in fact, just within the last 6 months, we have had extensive discussions.
If elected, will you try to bring improvement in that area?
Well, absolutely. We need to continuously do that, but specifically just within the last few months, we've worked with the Harlingen Area Builders Association to address some of those concerns and make things as smooth as possible with our planning department. I think as the community grows, I think as more people, as we attract more people to our medical complex, to our homeland security sector, to our education complex, more people are moving into the community. We've had a 13% increase in our population since the census in 2000. And as more people come here, we'll see more restaurants, we'll see more retail, because we have a good foundation in Harlingen for jobs.
Mr. Benton, number one thing you'll try to accomplish if you're elected mayor of the City of Harlingen?
Economic development. We need to change the city.
By doing what?
I have a 10-point plan, which I shared with you earlier, Dave, of project-specific things that I'd like to do in Harlingen. Things like cleaning up the Royal Colorado and turning it into a nature tourist attraction. Things like attracting a convention center and a first-class hotel. Things like developing a waste-to-energy plant. People ask me, what's a waste-to-energy plant? Cities all over the nation are taking their trash and they're converting their trash to electricity. This does three things actually. It allows for you to lower your citizens' electricity because you have a public utility commission that sells it directly to the community.
How about bringing in other businesses like you've been critical of the current administration for not having accomplished?
Well, if you allow me a moment to explain my answer to you, Ron.
We're running out of time.
Well,
I've got to give your opponent a little bit of time in this segment.
Okay. I believe that we need to go for, we've spent $57 million since 1990 on economic development in Harlingen. We have very little to show for it. My preference is that over the next decade, we take our economic development sales tax dollars and instead of chasing companies that are looking for $6 an hour labor, reinvest it in cleaning up and beautifying our community. So my priority will not be in going after $6 an hour jobs. No, I want to clean up and reinvest in Harlingen. And at the end of 10 years, we've got a beautiful community. We have an easier task of then going after high wage, high skill, good paying jobs instead of the $6 an hour jobs that we're getting now.
Thank you. Candidate Boswell, same question. If elected mayor of Harlingen, what would be your number one priority the first day you take office to try and accomplish?
Is to organize these community forums and the strategic plan to move the community forward and to build on our assets, because we do have these great assets because they provide good paying jobs. Our medical sector is our largest employer by far in the city of Harlingen. They don't pay $6 an hour. Those are high paying jobs in the medical sector. We need to build on that. We need to build on our transportation sector, the airport and the bridge and the cargo ports. Those are not $6 an hour jobs. Those are high paying jobs. We need to build on our United Launch Alliance. We're the only community in South Texas that has an aerospace industry working in it, with the Lockheed Boeing partnership building rockets in Harlingen, Texas. We need to build on that. So I hope that we can develop a plan that will build on our strengths.
Having been a resident of the city of Harlingen up until about 3 years ago, I've been obviously involved in a voter in your community and aware of the continuing discussion of why Harlingen seems to be somewhat not involved in economic development like the other areas of the Rio Grande Valley. Without being critical of your previous other members serving on the council with you and other mayors under whom you have served, you're not wanting to be mayor, you're going to be the guy in charge of the bully pulpit. What could be done to try and change this seeming mentality of Harlingen never gets it done?
Well, I think that the first thing we've got to do is we need to be talking about positives. I don't think that a community can sell itself to others if it isn't and if it doesn't remain positive. But more than that, we do need to be aggressive, and I think within something that I worked on here this last fall was to organize another set of forums on economic development, on creating a 4B corporation, but yet maintaining a 4A corporation for basic jobs, and to talk about how we can do economic development better. And just this past week, a consensus was reached between the Economic Development Corporation and the two chambers that we would create one economic development directorship with the Economic Development Corporation. And this is something that, that I, along with other city commissioners.
Mr. Benton, you wanted to respond to what Mr. Boswell said.
Yes, I appreciate the fact that he has continued to adopt my platform as his own and push the things that I've been pushing for the last 2 years. And those are good things, and I'm glad that he's on board with it. But the fact of the matter is that under the 4A, for instance,
even if you lose and he wins, you will have accomplished something because he's picking up your platform.
That's correct, and you know what? People tell me that, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. You know, if Chris really means it and really follows through on doing the things that he's adopted from our platform, then Harlingen will go forward, and we'll all be better off for it. You know, and I'll stand with him. My concern is I look at the list of contributors to his campaign, and it's the same old guard of people that have held the city back for the last 40 years for their own personal good and not let anyone else in at the table. You know, if Chris can stand up to those people who are writing checks in support of his campaign and said, no, it's not for you, it's for all of the city of Harlingen, then I will be the first guy to pat him on the back and say, let's go, Chris. But because we're not sure that he's going to do that, I'm asking the people of Harlingen to vote for someone who they know is independent, who they know will stand up for them, who they know cannot be compromised, and who has not had 9 years to show you that they haven't been able to produce a result. I ask you to vote for me because I will produce a result for all of the citizens of Harlingen. Thank you.
Chris, look into the camera and ask those people watching from your city to vote for you.
All right, thank you. I'm proud of the support that I've received in the community and the over 130 people who have contributed to my campaign. I think that means that I've got a broad range of support, from $25 contributors to much more than that. But I appreciate the support, and I ask for your support and for your vote.
Election Day, May the 12th, early vote now going on in the city of Harlingen. Thank you for joining us. Till next time, adios.